he's of the opinion that Kyrie is a bleep disturber and does not seem to have a very high opinion of him. And he thinks that he's been a distraction, even though he was trying not to be a distraction. Kendrick Perkins tweets out last night, 2 people have been lynched in the state of Texas. A young African-American lady was killed in Akron, Ohio behind a hate crime. And has that been highlighted like it should have been? No, because for the last 2 days we've been talking about Kyrie Irving.
Oh, okay. What?
There have been a disturbing series of lynchings or apparent lynchings, I guess. I don't know the best way to phrase it, but it certainly appears that way around the country. And there was news left in Oakland in a park in Oakland last night. There's a bad scene happening. I think it's being discussed, though. I would disagree with Kendrick. I don't think Kyrie is distracting from a national discussion. I do think it has made the news. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken, but I do think that it has been.
I found out about it from the news.
Yeah, I feel like we got the info. I don't think that anybody was discussing Kyrie Irving's attempt to derail the potential restart of the NBA, and when we were missed out on some of this information. I don't think that's happening, to be fair to Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins wants there to be basketball like all of us wants there to be basketball. And Kyrie's point is when basketball comes back, let's not just distract people from what is going on in the world, which is a fair point coming from Kyrie. And that's hard to say. But if Kendrick Perkins' reaction to Kyrie Irving saying that in the dialogue around Kyrie Irving saying that is, hey, he's distracting us from these heinous hate crimes and lynchings that are going on right now, and there is no basketball being played. What does he think is going to happen when basketball gets played? If Kyrie Irving can distract us in a moment when nothing else is going on, what does he think other players, more well-respected players, are going to be able to do when basketball comes back to the American psyche and American attention span? Like, what does he think is going to happen when that happens? He just doesn't like Kyrie. I don't know. They played together in Cleveland, right?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you he's had a lot of conversations or heard Kyrie have a lot of conversations about opening the third eye and just like, nah, this dude is a space cadet. I'm out. Like so many of us, and rightfully so, because Kyrie is a bit of a space cadet, but he is right on the topic. He and Avery Bradley and others are right on the topic of not wanting to detract away from what protesters are working so hard to achieve and accomplish right now. There's no more need for attention. Everybody is or awareness, excuse me. Everybody is aware. So now there needs to be tangible action and tangible things taking place. I don't get it. This Kendrick Perkins thing with Kyrie, from what I've seen, feels a little bit more personal than simply I'm offering my opinion from Kendrick Perkins.
Well, Kendrick Perkins to me is a little bit of a he's got a little Skip Bayless kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of he's not afraid to just say whatever to kind of get it going a little bit and just kind of stir it up, which I think is sort of ironic because he's sort of that's what he's accusing Kyrie of doing, and he himself is being probably as big of a distraction in the whole thing, while by accusing Kyrie of being a distraction when Kyrie is trying to avoid distraction and has not said anything, to my knowledge, has not said anything publicly. His comments have been reported upon and seem to be pretty widely known, but he has not come out and done anything that would be distracting. It's not as if he's made some kind of weird video or made some sort of a statement or done some kind of a public announcement that would have caused a bunch of stir. He's just kind of been talking. Kendrick Perkins also, for the record, tweeted out, said, Mother Nature's better be cool and chill, because I honestly took it light on Kyrie today when I really could have exposed the bleep that he's doing on them phone conversations. Carry on. So Kendrick's not a fan. What I'm saying.
Okay.
As ever, I think the discussion is fine, and I don't think anyone is missing out on what's happening around the country because of the discussion around Kyrie. Now, I do think once basketball starts, that's a different thing. I think that you have only to look at what happened yesterday with the Premier League. The Premier League returned. There'll be more Premier League action later on today, and then every day, for a while now through Sunday, there'll be some games and stuff. And they all the players wore Black Lives Matter instead of their names on the back of their jerseys. They just had the phrase Black Lives Matter. They had a Black Lives Matter patch on their uniform. They kneeled prior to the very first game. They kneeled down, and that was all great, and it highlighted their feeling on the issue. But then once the games were played, and like that was what the story was. The story was what happened in the games, and I think there are ways that players can continue to raise awareness and stuff. But like once the games start, the games are going to make the big news. If you look on all the various soccer sites, for example, the story is Manchester City beating Arsenal, 3-0. It's not about what did this player X did he kneel down or player. It's not about that, and it's been about that for a while. So that's the thing. Unless there's something elaborate that happens, unless players have a and I know there's been some talk, and I've heard tell that there may be some extremely elaborate possibilities of some of the things that players may do. Unless it's something like that, I think it's going to quickly kind of get pushed down with the actual sports. We have a very well-oiled sports highlight and discussion machine. That once sports kick in, once that fuel of the games and the stuff and the feuds between players and stuff starts to feed that machine, well, then you start to get the discussion. You start to get the Skip Baylesses and the Stephen A's start to talk, and then that feeds another thing, and then you have the highlights and all that stuff, and next thing you know, you're right back to where you were. And I think that's what he's warning about. So you don't want to go back to what quote-unquote normal was, because we're in a unique moment.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They're going to play. So let's see what they do and how they use the platform that they have.
Well, I can tell you this. No matter how you feel about Kyrie or anyone else, one thing we all know is that the NBA protocol tells you that you cannot share snorkels between players. And so just remember that. We go through
Great.
one of my favorite little details in the NBA's 113-page protocols. No sharing of snorkels, guys. One snorkel, one player. Remember that. That's the rule. Deal with it. We'll come back.
Great party area, safe. All the employees in masks, gloves, very safe. Trying to social distance inside and be extra careful. That's what Walker Taylor demands, and that's what he's gotten during all of this. And this has been the definition of all of this. And when we start thinking about football, even high schools on Friday night and tailgating, keep the commissary in mind. Again, online at commissarybarbecue.com.
We take a timeout. When we come back, some college football traditions may be coming to an end. We will talk about that next.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Hey, clones, you've heard me talk about Walmart delivery before, but now Walmart has the fastest delivery service yet. Walmart Express Delivery. Get groceries and more delivered from their door to yours with no contact delivery in 2 hours or less. Zero markups. Same low price as in-store. Don't let work, kids, an at-home workout, or whatever else life throws at you right now get in the way of getting what you need when you need it. Try Walmart Express Delivery today. Restrictions and fees do apply.
Hi, it's The Herd. And all week, we've been getting Lowe's dedications from listeners telling us their favorite DIY dad stories. Here's one of my favorites.
Homeschooling has made our house a chaotic mess. Our space is tight. My husband built a bookshelf to hold all of the kids' projects and books, though. He even got the kids involved. He's a super dad.
Listen for more Lowe's dedications or check out the hashtag #DadBuiltThis. DIY dads turn houses into homes. And Lowe's believes home is what unites us.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
We saved serious cash with our Progressive Home and Auto Bundle and used the money to buy a new boat.
Who's ready to water ski?
This is not a real testimonial. Sure, customers can save big money with Progressive, but not enough for a new boat. They'll probably spend it on rent or gas money or maybe one of those little plastic wading pools for the yard.
Ahoy there!
Is what the captain might say. On the toy boat. In your wading pool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Joining us now as we do every Thursday at this time, our good friend, talk a little wrestling with the one and only 5-star Dustin Starr. Joining us on the program. Good morning, Dustin. How are you, bud?
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, CJ. My favorite tag team in Memphis. How are you guys doing this morning?
What up, Star?
Man, I can't wait. We should be a tag team, CJ.
You guys are a tag team.
Well, I mean, we should be a real like in the ring tag team. Like we should actually get in there.
Well, hold on. You pump the brakes a little bit there.
Why don't gas Peter's head up, Star? Like, you can be a tag team, Peter. I'm not getting involved in that. That stuff hurts. No. I'm okay.
Radio tag team. Radio tag team.
I mean, I'm just saying, Star. I feel like, we got to get in there. Obviously, we got to get hit the ropes a few times, get some training in. But I feel like CJ got some good size. I got some good size here. We got, we got the charisma on the stick. I think we can make this thing work. We just a few months, so we could start to terrorize other shows out there.
Hey, man. You know what they say, you can't teach size. I think you guys got the promo skills. You do it every day.
That's what I'm saying, see? I think in the ring, you put us in the ring with any other show in this market, I think we got them.
What would be the tag team name? You got to have a tag team name. It can't just be Sports 56 Mornings.
No.
Can it be Sports 55?
What?
Can we get Zach involved?
No, we're the Dairy Boys.
Oh, we are the Dairy Boys.
The Dairy Boys.
We're the Dairy Boys.
Gosh.
The Dairy Boys. I'm whole milk. He's chocolate milk.
Yeah, you guys would have a great feud with the Texas Barbecue Boys.
That's right, the Texas Barbecue Boys. We're the Dairy Boys.
Hey,
we got to have a good finishing move.
We just hit them upside the head with a gallon of milk.
Oh man.
Yeah,
that would work.
It's going to be a visual I don't appreciate.
When matches and just pour gallons of milk.
That's
on
right. That's right.
Take
milk
this.
is a
Dairy Boys
milk's a
in the
bad
business.
choice. Oh boy.
Here's this cottage cheese in your face. Bow. Cottage cheese.
No way.
I'm about to get sick.
I'm sure that would age well.
I'm just saying, Mankind was pulling socks out like.
Yeah, he was.
That was sick. That was
pulling them out of his tights.
Just straight out the tights, man.
Yeah, hey, that's a really good point that maybe a lot of wrestling fans might not have really kind of thought about. Like, literally, Mankind would have that sock in his tights, wrestling a long match, sweating, and then pull it out put it on his hand and stick it in your mouth. Gross. Yeah.
Is that the grossest move you can think of, Star? There are some good
Stink
ones.
face. Stink face.
Stink
Well,
faces.
the stink face, you can kind of turn your head. You can hide into the buckle a little bit. It is a disgusting move, don't get me wrong, but when you got another man's like sock or hand after all the wrestling and touching of the mat and the ring, especially nowadays if you think about it, and then he sticks his fingers in your mouth, that's pretty gross. I don't know if anything tops that. I remember when he first came up with the mandible claw, it was probably like 96 or something. There was rumors that guys would complain about having to take that move just because it was disgusting, sticking your fingers in the guy's throat. But it's supposedly a pressure point underneath the tongue that'll put you down.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just going to I'm going to say I'm curious your thought on this since we're talking about this. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but I'll let everyone else in on it. Joey Ryan is a wrestler who has a particularly impressive move in which he uses his let's say his junk to flip other wrestlers. He uses that as Mick Foley, in fact, took this at one point in time.
Yeah.
Somebody ends up grabbing his crotch, and then he sort of powers it up, and then the wrestler flips over with the power of his genitalia. Yes. How do you feel about the Joey Ryan special?
I mean, obviously it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but I mean, I get it. It's part of the showmanship, but a lot of the classic, diehard wrestling fans absolutely hate it. But you're talking about it right here, and Joey Ryan is not really like a WWE guy, or he's had some really good national exposure, but he's kind of an underground, very, very popular, like with the underground wrestling, kind of like a band that hasn't signed a big record deal yet. Maybe like a Nickelback before Nickelback went big. Before you start to hate them, you know what I mean? He's still very, very popular today, and he does that. And a lot of the old school wrestlers hate it, but it's just one of those things that they do. I mean,
that's why I'm asking you. I'm asking you, what do you think?
Oh, like, would I want to take that move? Is that what you're asking me?
Well, I'm saying, how would you feel about taking that move?
That move wouldn't happen on our television program. Let's put it that way. I don't know. I would probably do it. I would probably do it because it would be funny and it would, be a highlight or something.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. Yeah, right.
It is very silly, but, come on. That's what some of this wrestling stuff is. You got the people's elbow. You had the worm.
Yeah, right.
A lot of silly. Hulk Hogan won for years with a leg drop.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. And he would the heel would always feed in, would always punch him 3 times, would always do the same thing.
Yeah, why not?
Everyone kind of knew knew the deal. That's right.
Let's call it the penis flip. Why not do the penis flip, right? It's ridiculous.
Texans have texted in on the First Bank text line. You can too, 67129 on the First Bank text line. Texter says the Dairy Boys are utterly amazing. Move out the way.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Got a manager here. This is nice. So whoever that is, that's
thing may take off.
Jim Cornette style right there. That's exactly right. I'm excited about this. You're right. This is I think the charisma, all that stuff is the whole point of the deal. Now, Star, we've had a little controversy this week with WWE and the COVID situation down there. You had tweeted about it earlier on, and they were kind of, I don't know, they were asking for trouble with all this anyway, to be honest, like the way that they've sort of handled it. And I know Triple H had some kind of magic spray that he sprayed all over the facility, and apparently that was he felt like that was going to be good enough to kill whatever was in there. Apparently, maybe not so much. What's the latest in the situation, and what do you think?
Well, I think I'm very disappointed because we've talked about it in the past of, they were going through the proper measures. They've even told us on television that everybody here has been tested and all this good stuff. And, early on there was one coronavirus positive test in WWE, and that was kind of like around the WrestleMania time. But then you fast forward now, and the news has come out that WWE had not conducted a single coronavirus test until Monday or Tuesday. they weren't even going to conduct a test until one of their own developmental talents went and got independently tested because they had symptoms. So WWE didn't even perform that test, which is very disappointing. And it just seems like they knew about it. They didn't release the information until after Monday Night Raw. So everybody that was there in the audience, staff, friends, wrestlers, all that kind of stuff, they didn't have masks on. I think WWE had told them for television purposes not to wear the mask. They had Ric Flair booked on this show, which we've talked about Jerry Lawler not traveling due to, age and health restrictions and such. Well, Ric Flair is the epitome of that. And to keep that as a secret and not release the information until after Monday Night Raw, they literally put everybody in jeopardy. But the most disappointing thing is them telling us that they had been testing and they really hadn't. They had been doing temperature checks and just asking the talent how they felt. Whereas on the other side, on AEW, literally these guys are going through tests, each and every week, allegedly, to make sure that everybody's clean. So WWE had to shut down production of their television shoots for Tuesday, and I think they returned yesterday to television. So they took a day off to test everybody. Mojo Rawley actually posted the video of them testing him and how they stuck that thing in his nose. Oh, man, it's just cringy. But that's the big news coming out of WWE, man. They were asking for it. I don't know if they didn't believe in it or they didn't think it could happen to them. But on June 6th, I think, was the date that the last time that NXT performer was there. And, they had to have everybody tested because of it now.
So, Star.
It just seems – go ahead.
No, I was just – is it – how can anybody have faith in the WWE doing the right thing in the time of the pandemic after this type of stuff breaks? Like, how can we trust that you're putting on a product safely after we find out that you hadn't been testing? Like, how can we trust the measures you're saying you're taking in place? The measures you say you have in place, when come to find out you're not doing the simple stuff like testing everybody and testing routine.
I don't know if you can. You got guys like Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, some of their real big stars that aren't performing right now. And a lot of people were thinking it was because of, possibly getting the coronavirus, but it seems like, it was that, but then it was also that they knew that WWE wasn't taking the proper measures. For a guy like Roman Reigns who was battling leukemia, he can't risk going into an unsafe situation. And one would think, well, all the other guys are doing it. They've got to be safe. So I don't know if you can trust them other than the fact if they start putting some of the footage of their guys getting tested, you'll see the AEW wrestlers in the ring with their wristband on. So they have to be wristband in order, saying that they took the test and they passed the test and they're allowed to be here. So I don't know that you can trust what they say because they've been talking all the good, everything that we wanted to hear. They've been talking that stuff for a long time now. And it's not that somebody contracted the virus because I think anybody and everybody can get it. All right. But the problem is that they were lying to the public, that they were doing the proper precautions and they weren't. And that really sucks, man.
Well, and, this is the thing, like, WWE and having so much individual power in the business, and then it harkens back to the steroid stuff, and when they were discussing testing, and there was some question as to whether the testing was legitimate or not. Maybe it was for a time, and then it wasn't. The jurisdiction, they don't really have a jurisdictional thing. They don't really have any kind of someone that can step in, an overarching body, other than the federal government, I suppose, who could step in on stuff like this.
They don't want that,
and they don't want that. But
they don't want that.
But they're probably not. They're probably not. But they're probably not going to. I mean, that's the thing. Like there really is. You talked about it last week or week before when you're dealing with some of the independent promotions out there. You have to trust that they're doing the right thing. And you do have to have a certain level of trust, and when that trust is broken, it's really disappointing because they're supposed to be a leader in the business.
Oh man, yeah, I think that's the thing that's the most disappointing is, they're the Disney, they're the the pop culture. I mean, like, everybody knows what WWE is, even if you're not a wrestling fan. So for the everyday person just to go onto Twitter and be able to see that they were just, so unsafe. And then you've got to think that the other sports will look at WWE and say, oh, wow, and maybe, be more serious about the testing, because it can happen. It can happen to anybody. And, it'll be curious to see what happens moving forward with it, because they can be shut down. They can shut them down completely, and that can affect other wrestling companies and other entertainment companies too. I just think it's the craziest thing. Now, when I was there, I was tested every single Wednesday. So I know that they have a legitimate policy in testing. They do blood testing and, urine samples and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that a big superstar like The Rock or Goldberg or, even Triple H or somebody like that, that doesn't mean – I didn't see those tests.
Right.
So there might be a level of these guys get tested all the time, and maybe these guys don't because they're kind of part-timers and they're big stars. I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
It's always been a question.
It's and again, you have to look at the profit motive, and what is the motivation for them to really stringently test a guy like a Goldberg or whoever, and what's the motivation really? I mean, he's there for a few shots and then that's it. If he has to cancel, or if they have to restrict him because he were to test positive theoretically, that would cost them a lot of money. For what? I mean, again, it's hard to imagine a situation where they would, especially if they're not even going to take the precautions to actually test for COVID in the way that even a promotion like AEW is doing. Why would you believe that they're testing for any of these other stuff too?
And I would think that AEW is more financially strapped to do something like that.
I mean, I know Tony Khan's got a lot of money, but Tony Khan's got a lot of money, but still,
yeah.
I mean,
there's a place where you draw the line, though. Is it financially feasible for us to continue to do these tapings when we can do best of? Because of the cost of, and I don't know what the cost of the tests are, but I know that if you're constantly doing them each and every week with, they've got so many camera operators and staff members and backstage people and wrestlers and all that. So for AEW to be able to pull together the finances and all that stuff and to do it correctly, and that's what we think is happening until we get some other news, is that they are doing it correctly. That makes it even more disappointing that WWE isn't doing it correctly, because they are supposed to be the leader and they are the big dog, And I've even said, I think even on this program, that if they called me tomorrow, I'd hop on a plane and go over there, and I'd go work. But I don't know if the wife would let me at this point after hearing that news.
Yeah. I mean, that's now you have those questions. Absolutely. And they open themselves up to those sorts of questions. And it's disappointing from that perspective. I want to ask you too, have you been watching, have you checked out the Undertaker stuff? The last ride and all that. That's been phenomenal, I think.
It has. And anybody that isn't or hasn't watched it, and you're a fan of The Undertaker, even if it was a long time ago, because The Undertaker started right here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Absolutely.
As Mark Callis, Mark Calloway, Mean Mark. Yeah, Master of Pain. That was actually a very good name.
That was.
But it's a story without, it can't really spoil it. It's a documentary, and they're following kind of the last couple of years of his life. And I think all professional athletes are going to get to that point where they know that they're winding down, and when is the right time to stop. And it's that internal struggle where you don't look how you used to look. You're not as sharp as you used to be. You're not as fast. You can't go for an hour in the ring like you used to. And that's what The Undertaker's facing. And it's amazing that after all these years of not being able to see behind the scenes with The Undertaker, now we're seeing him like literally at his most vulnerable point as a person. Like, he's really struggling with hanging up the boots and retiring. He's looking for that one last hurrah, before he leaves. And in my opinion, I think he's gotten that last hurrah a couple of different times, but it just wasn't enough for him, so he keeps going.
Well, the thing is, with him, and there's few guys that are at that unbelievably elite level, and I give a ton of credit, because he doesn't have to he reminds me a little bit of like a Vince Carter type guy. Like he doesn't have to keep doing this. He's got plenty of money. That's not. I mean, money's not the concern for him. You know, his family's taken care of, all that stuff. But the guy just has an incredible desire to keep doing it, and he's, as we saw this year WrestleMania, like you can still reinvent yourself, and you can still put on an unbelievable show. It's like Shawn Michaels reminds me. Like, you know, he was dead and buried. Shawn Michaels was dead and buried. Like his back was completely messed up. He was done. He couldn't get. And then what happened? He comes back somehow and kind of reinvents the way he does a few things and puts on some match of the year. There's some guys who just have an incredible desire, and man, it's a pleasure to watch professionals like that keep doing their thing.
Yeah, I think that Boneyard match from WrestleMania might have given The Undertaker a couple of more years on his career.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just because it can be taped, it can be edited, they can really protect his image, and he doesn't necessarily have to get in the ring anymore and go 30, 45 minutes with a Brock Lesnar or anything like that. I think those days are over with. And he mentions in the documentary, you know, fans think that, you know, they just want to see the entrance and me come out and chokeslam somebody and leave. Pretty much. I mean, that's the best part of The Undertaker right now. But that Boneyard match with AJ Styles, mind you, AJ is one of the very best in the business anywhere in the world. That was a great match. And I think that they have some legs. They've got some longevity with that. They can, and it doesn't have to be a Boneyard match. They've done buried alive matches. They can reinvent some of these things, you know, like on a set or on a stage or at a, you know, cemetery or something like that. They could do multiple. That should be the Undertaker's specialty now, is that special cinematic kind of horror movie like match.
Agreed. You could absolutely make that work. What's coming up on Championship Wrestling this week?
Man, last night Ricky Starks made his debut on AEW, and he challenged Cody for the TNT title. The cool thing is Cody and Brandy Rhodes are going to be on the show this Saturday on CW30, and Ricky Starks is going to be on the show wrestling our Heritage Champion Watts. So one of the main events on last night's AEW, both of those guys are going to be on our show this Saturday at noon on CW30. And if you're outside the viewing area, then you can watch with us and live chat with us on YouTube. Just go there and type in CW30 Wrestling, and it'll pop right up. But
that's awesome, man. That's a great confluence of stuff right there.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Me and Maria, we sit down with Cody and Brandy. Don't worry, a match doesn't break out, but I might challenge him for the TNT title. I don't know. And then Ricky Starks was an NWA guy who has also performed on our show before, and he got his big break last night, and he had such a great match with Cody that now he is officially signed with AEW as of last night. So more and more of our guys are getting called up and getting contracts to, you know, wrestle all over the world and
I love
wrestle on national television.
Putting over that NWA stuff.
I do too.
NWA. I think that's great. It's
just real quick before you let me go, the WWE would have totally ignored any of that. They would have acted like Ricky Starks was just they might have even changed his name. It would have just been something totally different.
Like they
wouldn't have told his story or anything, but AEW is doing it right. That's how Ricky Starks became popular enough to get there. Why not use it? And they really put over the NWA. Cody really put over Ricky Starks. Just really, really good wrestling match. If you guys missed it, go check out Ricky Starks and Cody. It was great. And check them out on Saturday too.
Yeah, no, I love. I think AEW, I appreciate the way they're doing it and appreciate the way that they're incorporating all the other promotions as well. I think it's the way that you're going to have to do it. If you're going to mount a steady challenge to WWE, you're going to have a grassroots kind of thing, and I think they're doing a great job of bringing all that together. I want to see you and Maria against Cody and Brandy, though. At some point, we need to have that mixed tag spectacular.
I think it could happen, too. When they're in Memphis, we did a media tour and had them on our show. They were very cool. They were here at the Forum. We did some stuff with them during the Grizzlies basketball game, backstage, behind the scenes and all that. So it's not far-fetched for Cody and Brandy to come into town and me challenge him. That is not too far-fetched. It's just all a matter of timing and them being in Memphis, and, I'll be there, brother.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Dustin Starr, many thanks, my friend.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Starr.
Oh, yeah.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir. Dustin Starr. 5-star. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5-star. We'll come back. We'll talk about that. Also, I got to get your take on the Shaq and Gronk situation. This thing is interesting to happen. The latest thing. Well, there's two aspects of this. Number one, Mike Gundy said in his own words, he was a dumbass for wearing the OAN shirt. He continues to sort of push the idea that he had no idea what was really happening with that network and Black Lives Matter. And once he realized it, he was mortified and shocked and just couldn't believe it.
Okay.
That seems.
Also, it's not the shirt, Mike.
It's not the shirt.
It's not the shirt. That's not why people are upset. What? It's
not the shirt. Certainly. It's also implausible that any of that would be true. But okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. We'll table that for the moment, because the other part of it is Alfred Williams. Alfred Williams, who is now 51 years old, but he says that, and this was a story at the time and is now coming back up for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
He was a linebacker at Colorado and said that he was walking off the field in Stillwater right before halftime of a game in 1989, and he heard Oklahoma State's star quarterback call him the N-word. Said it happened twice. Happened during that part, and then happened during the second time, the second half of Colorado's win in 1989, and of course that quarterback happened to be Mike Gundy. And he says, I remember that was the first time that Colorado beat Oklahoma State while I was there. It was a big win. It was a really big win. And I remember Mike Gundy called me the N-word. That's what I remember. Shannon Sharp told this story yesterday on his show, Undisputed. And then there were sort of game stories that were there, and Gundy denied it each time. Williams did another interview with the Oklahoman this morning and says he wants an apology. But he said this was the first time I'd seen Gundy's response from that day in 1989. It stirred up painful memories. He says, I want an apology from him, and I want to see him have some growth. If he denies he said that, I have at least 20 people who will vouch for what happened that day. I'm a little upset because after 31 years, I finally saw the story published in your papers out in Oklahoma. That was the first time I saw some of the responses to what I said. In the St. Louis Dispatch, he said, look at the University of Colorado and its players. They got rapists. I said, wait a minute. What does that have to do with Alfred Williams or anything? I'm not part of any of those stories. I wasn't part of anything like that. There was a story written in 1989 about Colorado and some crime that was related to certain players. He said, why would I part of be anything that's dishonorable? The fact that he tried to discredit me, it's 31 years later, and I just saw the article for the first time today. So yeah, I'm a little upset. He said it not only to him but to a few other guys on the field. And one of the players, a player named Canavis McGee, joined Williams in saying that Gundy used racial comments, what they termed at the time racial comments in 1989. McGee said, he said it to me, this was actually after the game, he said it to me and a couple other guys on the field. It got me real upset. Here's a guy in the spotlight all the time. To say something like that is not cool at all. All it did was fire us up. At the time, Gundy said, I didn't say it. It's just not true. I've been here 4 years, and well over half of my friends are black. I just did not say that. I would not say something like that. He said only one time has he ever been called Alfred Williams said the only one time he's ever been called the N-word during a game was during that game. He said, even throughout the NFL, he's a two-time Super Bowl winner, playing with Pro Bowler. He had a very illustrious career. College Football Hall of Famer. He said only one time has that ever happened, and it was that day. He said he's pushed at least 4 high school coaches of recruits to send their kids elsewhere. So when you combine all of this with the shirt and what the shirt represents in this case, to me now you have a much bigger problem. Much more pressing issue or a much more obvious manifestation of the deeper issue that the T-shirt represents.
I don't know how so. Like that's what I don't get. Like the network that Gundy rocks with, the network that he's been singing the praises of for quite some time now. We know what that network is. We know what it represents. I don't know why a story like this has to come out for the situation to raise to a certain level of seriousness in the case of Mike Gundy. If you rock with those types of things, you are that type of person. If you rock with racist things, if you rock with racist symbols, if you rock with symbols of white supremacy, you are a racist, you are a white supremacist. I don't know why we need to have examples like this of just overt racism coming out for us to treat things with the seriousness that we should. When Mike Gundy decided to sing the praises of that network, people should have in the program pulled him to the side and said, Coach, you need to sit down and listen. We love you. We love the fact that you're one of our own. We love the fact that you've taken us to heights Oklahoma State football has never been. But you can't hold these beliefs and coach young black men. You can't do that. And so we're going to have to talk to you about the history of black people in America. We're going to have to talk to you about American history. We treat black history like it is just one group's responsibility to know about it or to inform others about it. It's American history. Like, we're going to teach you about American history and the plights of black people through that time so that you get a better understanding and you see why this is not just balanced news. This is not something that is just straight down the middle with no spin, no tilt, no nothing. Like, that is when it should have happened. Now, when this comes out, I don't get it. You wear that shirt, you listen to that network, I guarantee you got mad at a black person and said that word. This is not surprising to me. I saw the story and it's like, oh, okay, cool. That makes sense. Yeah, I'd believe it. Okay. It all makes sense. I don't know why we need this example, though, before we decide to take it to the next level when it comes to, in this case, Mike Gundy, but others.
Well, I mean, we shouldn't, but we do. I think you have to make in the case of so many folks. It's a little bit like the Me Too movement, where you have somebody who has a reputation for lots of stuff and lots of rumors and lots of discussion about what the type of person someone is, but there have been stories for years that weren't believed, and then at one point the overwhelming preponderance of stories gets to be too much, and they start getting heard and they start getting believed. And this is another example of that. This is why that would change. I mean, I agree with you. It's right in keeping with what you would expect. Mm-hmm. And there's no reason that Alfred Williams or any of the other players, now or at the time would have made something like that up. That doesn't make any sense. And they weren't believed. It doesn't appear at the time. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to do it now, especially. But when you have more and more examples, the story becomes clearer and clearer. And for some people, you have to make the story crystal clear. And for some people, you have to make the story beyond crystal clear. And sometimes when the story is crystal clear, some people still won't believe it. But there's a group out there, CJ, that is, I would say, persuadable, maybe is the right word, that if the overwhelming preponderance of evidence becomes clearly that you got a problem and that Mike Gundy's got a problem with race relations, then that persuadable group can move and push their weight towards making a change or having some kind of a, I'm not saying, fire the guy any more than Alfred Williams is saying fire the guy. Mm-hmm. But there has to be some tangible change in the way that he goes about his daily life and the way that he goes about his business of coaching young black men and young men, period. Those persuadables, if they get enough tangible evidence and you start to shift their weight, then that's when stuff happens. If it stays where 30% think he's racist, 30% think he's being persecuted, he's not a racist at all, and the 40% just kind of stays in the middle, okay, whatever. But if that 40% slides towards the other way, then it becomes 70-30, and then you got an issue. And I think that's where these kinds of stories can be powerful in that respect.
I know Zach is a vegetarian, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Zach came in here every day on every show, every chance he got, was like, you know what smells really good? Bacon. Man, I was at a cookout the other day, and boy, those hot dogs sure did look good. I'd begin to question whether or not Zach was a real vegetarian. Like, you don't sing the praises of things you don't like, you don't feel in your heart, in your gut, in your soul. So he is singing the praises of this overtly racist network, terribly racist network, and he's calling that down the middle reporting. No BS. That's what he's calling that. And he's singing those praises. Right there, it is, yo, you're racist. I'm not racist. Well, you like things racist people like. So we need to have a conversation right there. And I get your point about trying to persuade the persuadable and move them so that they help us move things forward. And that's what's going on right now when you think about all the protests. The persuadable have been persuaded and have joined the movement to try and move everything in a direction that is better for everybody involved, all parties involved. I'm just not surprised that this happened to Gundy, and to bring it to today, not surprised that Mason Rudolph may have said that. Like, it seems like something that some of these dudes, when they get pressed, when they get frustrated, they go to. Because that is, we're trash talking, I'm going to go there. You've made me mad. I'm trying to hurt you the way you hurt me. I'm going to that point. And, that is why
it's very plausible.
To get that sort of reaction from somebody like Myles Garrett. And surprisingly, Gundy didn't get a similar reaction. But every time I see an interaction between athletes, one black, one white, the tinge of race is there. And when that interaction escalates, it is in the back of my mind like, yo, did he say the magic word? Because if he said the magic word, that saying that to the wrong person, that's the reaction you get. So what happened at Mississippi State, when, who was it? I forget my man's name, who broke the quarterback's jaw. Like, what was going on there during bowl season? Like, what made him so upset that he decided he needed to whoop this dude like that? Like, what happened in that pile with Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph? Like, what is happening in those moments? And Gundy is not doing anything, or this story about Gundy is not doing anything to dissuade me from believing that those types of things are commonplace, especially in football.
Mason Rudolph, as you mentioned, who was his coach?
I think he went to Oklahoma State. I can't remember who was the coach at the time.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. The world is connected, isn't it? Who could imagine a former Oklahoma State quarterback using racial slur on the field? It's amazing. 67129 on the text line. 67129-360-8255. It will come.
Is the law? I think it's going to be tapped away.
What a value! 6-1. How about that?
Yeah, I can't give you guys an even money shot. You don't need that.
No, that's no fun. We like the fun numbers in there.
Yeah,
Dick, will this be the most normal thing in your life since March? Because you always go to all the Triple Crown races. You haven't missed one since 1985. Is that correct?
87, but who's counting? But yeah, I started working at the paper in 85. I didn't go to the Derby the first 2 years, but yeah, every year since. Yes, yeah. The answer is yes. It's like, hey, I know what this is. I mean, it's like my clock is tuned. The first weekend in May, I'll be in Kentucky. The third weekend, I'll be in Baltimore, and then in New York. So yeah, it is. And I also do a lot of college basketball. That ended right in the middle, as you guys know, the conference tournament. So, yeah, it's been really, really strange for all of us, but especially people that are involved in something that would normally be happening in March, April, and May.
Dick, we've talked about what this has done to sports, this pandemic, and I wonder what this has done to the industry of horse racing. When you've had to alter your schedule, and let's face it, we all become horse experts 3 times a year. You a lot more often, obviously, but there have been no races anywhere. What has this done to the industry?
So yeah, it's interesting. There's some places like I live north of Philadelphia where the track here has not been open since mid-March, and so the owners of the racehorses, they have nothing but expense. I mean, and no revenues because you still obviously have to feed the horses. The tracks themselves were not closed. People still went out there every day to take care of the horses, feed them, and train them and all that. But there was no races, so there was no chance to earn any money. But conversely, there were actually a couple of circuits, including Florida in Gulfstream Park and in Arkansas, not all that far from you guys, at Oaklawn Park, that remained open the entire time for racing. There were just no fans. So what was happening to them, they actually had a gold mine because there was nothing else to bet on. And horse racing, 90% of the money's bet away from the racetrack now anyway, either on your phone or online to an online wagering account. So they had some astronomical betting totals at the tracks that were able to stay open, but not very many of them were, including nothing here in the Northeast. Everybody's just now started to reopen in the last week or so.
And it is big business in Hot Springs. Dave he's covered an Arkansas Derby. I've been to a couple in my life in the Sella family, Charles and Louis Sella now. His dad Charles has passed away. That is an extraordinary family that has owned Oaklawn Park for a long, long time. Dick Girardi, our guest with us, longtime columnist at the Philadelphia Daily News, now with BetOnline.ag. BetOnline.ag. We're talking the Belmont with him. And Dick, I'm concerned about everything. I'm concerned about next year. We're going to have the Triple Crown. Will it be the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont next year for the Triple Crown?
Yeah, unless something unforeseen happens, yes. I think we'll go back to the normal 3 races in 5 weeks in the order you just described. I think that won't change unless for some reason it has to. Because we don't know how long this is going to last or if there's something else going to happen. Yeah, I think this is a one-time thing. It's 3 races over 15 weeks. The Derby's going to go the first Saturday in September, Preakness first Saturday in October, and everything's kind of backward. And some people were saying, well, why couldn't they keep the same schedule? Well, TV had something to do with that. They needed a window for the Derby. Remember, college football is starting, and it's on NBC. There really was no window to get the Belmont in as the 3rd race, plus it would be the middle of the NFL. So they made the best of what has been very not a great situation to run these 3 races, but out of order. The Belmont used to be the longest race.
It's the best we can
do. This year it'll be the shortest.
Yeah, and Dick, I promise you, when this first started, we had I'm talking the day after Rudy Gobert night, we were talking if this were the long-term impact in sports that it has been, we talked about how it would hit various sports. And I promise you, we mentioned any horse that's not 3 years old, or that 3-year-old horse, he or she, if it's a filly, won't be running next year if we don't have any of these races. And we are pretty big track fans and horse racing fans.
Sure.
Neither of us degenerates. I probably more so than Dave, if either one of us would be. But we do love horse racing.
Yeah, it's interesting because, and you're right, and Oaklawn Park is a great success story because the Sella family did a phenomenal job, able to keep their track open. Look, I mean, you guys have been to Hot Springs. Mm-hmm. It's not exactly a huge metropolis, so there weren't that many people going to be there anyway. When they had no fans, they were able to run it. And Arkansas Derby Day, which, as you know, they moved back to the first Saturday in May, they had nobody there, and they handled $40 million. Which was twice as much as in the history of the racetrack. Because everybody around the country is at home, right? You couldn't go anywhere then. So we're all sitting around betting the card. It was a great card, and they had phenomenal numbers, even with no fans. but they were the exception to the rule.
Right. Part of our fascination with the Triple Crown is, these are the young horses coming up, and it's a grueling 5-week test with the Belmont, the longest at the end. This is 15 weeks. How different, and obviously you don't have a race the length of the traditional Belmont. If this goes off well, if we got a Triple Crown winner, whatever it might be, do you think that some will go, you know what, that 5 weeks is crazy. It's too hard on the horses. And they would try to spread it out. Is there a way that this becomes sort of an excuse to end what has been a grueling set of 5 weeks for those horses?
Yeah, it's an absolutely great question. I've been on record for, probably a decade saying I think it'd be better first Saturday in May, first Saturday in June to Baltimore, and then maybe July 4th for the Belmont. Spread it over 8-9 weeks. It gives the horses more time between races, which kind of replicates how the sport is played these days. And nobody runs the horse 3 times in 5 weeks in major races anymore. It just doesn't happen, except in the showcase event in the sport. Do I think it's going to change? I don't, and here's why. There's all these people that have this. That's the way it's always been done, and I get that. And TV obviously has a role in this. NBC, they know when the dates are, when they're going to get their best numbers. The Derby's never going to move. That's always going to be the first Saturday in May, except for when it couldn't be like this year. But, yeah, I don't think ultimately it's going to change, but it's an interesting experiment. We're going to see what it looks like spread out this year. But, yeah, do I think it's going to ultimately change? I do not.
With the race this Saturday, we will get down to picks in a bit. But for horse racing, have there been any illnesses of horses and any horses with the virus?
Not to my knowledge. If there is, they haven't announced it. And what's been fascinating about the racetracks, not only that have been running, and now there's a whole lot more running now, but all the ones that stayed open, and everybody stayed open, they've done a great job of not getting – people have just not gotten sick. You have heard nothing. They've done a tremendous job at all the things we heard about that you're supposed to do to possibly prevent it. Javier Castellano, a jockey who was riding in Florida, he got it, not badly, but he got it, and he stayed away. He just stayed away for a couple of weeks. But other than that, I've heard hardly any problems at all. And as you guys know, there's several hundred people at our racetrack every morning when they're training, the grooms, the trainers, the exercise riders. There's actually far fewer during the races. That's why they were able to pull off the races. I don't know if you guys got a chance, but if you watched some of those races from Oaklawn, when you saw the TV pictures, you saw the jockey, the horse, the trainer, and that's all you saw. That was
it.
Surreal, yeah.
So Dick, no linkage. So no linkage to those deaths at Santa Anita to the virus or anything that may be linked to this, is it?
No, that was all either training or racing injuries, and a lot of that had to do with the racetrack that they were running on at Santa Anita. They had an inordinate amount of rain in the winter of 2019, and it was a management error. They should have closed the racetrack sooner than they did. And since then they've done a great job at that track. A lot new protocols. It's down dramatically, but yeah, that didn't have anything to do with the virus. That predated the virus by a good year.
We are talking with Dick Girardi from BetOnline.com, a long time with the Philadelphia Inquirer. We're talking horse racing. And I have to ask this question because our producer, Drew Barrett, and Brett Norsworthy, they have really been worried about the mental outlook, the mental health of Maximum Security after the embarrassment
since the shame
from last year. Is Maximum? I know he finally won a race. Is he okay?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. It gets a little complicated, but yeah, Maximum Security. He ended up winning the Haskell last summer at his home track at Monmouth Park. He won another big race, and then he went over to Saudi Arabia, I want to say in February, and won are you ready for this? $20 million race.
Woo! He's fine.
But since then, his trainer has run afoul of the law. So now he's got a new trainer. He's training with Bob Baffert in California. He hasn't raced since the Saudi Arabia race. But yes, to your question, maximum security has has recovered
Good
from
life.
the disqualification. He didn't know he got DQ'd. It was just the people like me that bet on him that knew.
Oh, Dick, I was outraged at it. I mean, you're driving a 1,200-pound animal with 19 around you, and there's a little contact. Please, we're making more contact in the studio right now than that. That was ridiculous.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I thought it was absurd. Not that I was at all unbiased since I'd actually bet on the horse, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of DQs. But yeah, to your point, the 20-horse field, horses will get impeded in a race like that. That's just going to happen.
Oh, and I give horse racing credit because it overcame it. Between what happened at Santa Anita and all the calls with PETA now, and dog tracks are closing everywhere, and then this craziness at Churchill Downs, I worried about horse racing, honestly.
Understand? Yeah. And hey, look, we all did. I mean, those of us who have been in it for as long as we have, it was as bad, as dark a moment as we've had. And this is just after we had 2 Triple Crown winners, finally, which were great moments.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the game does seem to have recovered. But yeah, it's like anytime you have that is not the kind of notoriety you want to have by any means. But, yeah, I think it gave everybody a wake-up call that there just wasn't enough being done for the most important part of the sport, which, of course, is the animals.
All right, down the stretch they come. Break it down for us with trainers and jockey combos and horse names, and give our listeners a couple of winning tickets and maybe box them up for them.
So Tisdalaw is going to be the heavy favorite, the 8, no question about that. He's trained by Barclay Tagg. Remember Funny Side from 2003, won the Derby and Preakness? Same guy, same owner, same trainer, also a New York bred. So he'll be the big favorite on Saturday. The horse I like to win is the 1, Tap It to Win. I liked him last summer as a 2-year-old, then he ran just 2 horrible races. I'm thinking, what is the matter with him? It turned out that he had an injury in the second race, so they had a surgery, and the 2 races he's run this year have been awesome. He has the 1 post. He'll be ridden by John Velasquez, who's the all-time leading money earner in the history of horse racing. So I like the 1, Tap It to Win. I think Tisdalaw's second. Dr. Post, the 9 third, and the 10 Pneumatic fourth. So if you're betting superfectas, and I know you guys like to bet superfectas, 1, 8, 9, 10 in that order.
All right. And I tell you mine I love the 1, 5, 6, 8. Got to have Tap It to Win in there, and of course have to have Tis the Law. But I love the combination of Todd Pletcher and Javier Castellano on Farmington Road.
Yep, he'll be running. He's one of those kind of horses that can get 3rd or 4th, right? He's going to be running at the end when they're all starting to get tired. Yeah, he's the kind of horse that fills out trifectas and superfectas.
And Dave's a big golfer, and he yells this all the time: 4 left, the 6 horse.
So that's why he used the golf horse number 6. Funny.
Tell me a little bit more, if you will, about, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Sol Volante.
So he's run 6 times, 4 wins, a second and a third. As consistent, the only horse any more consistent than him is Tisdalaw, who's run 5 times with 4 wins and a third. The issue I have with Sol Volante, he ran on June the 10th, so that's 8 days ago. It'll be only 10 days between races. That's very unusual. And I think this is kind of an afterthought, and that's not usually the way you win these big races. He was in Florida. I think he's a contender, no question. I'm probably not. I'm going to try to beat him, but look, if he hit the top 3, I'm not going to be surprised either.
Okay. You are in Philly. We mentioned that before, and you're working for a great organization, which is betonline.com. Have you guys got a line on whether the owners will accept the baseball players' new proposal? Because we want baseball.
Boy, talk about a tough line to make. Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, look, at some point, the way I would look at it, and we don't have a line yet, but at least not that I'm aware of. At some point, well, I don't know what the number is. What is it? Several billion they're going to divide. Can't you find a way to divide that in some fashion? I mean, come on. You're going to just not.
Feels like it should be easy.
Should be.
It should. Yeah. It should not be this hard. No, it's great. It's ridiculous. But that's we've been here before. But especially this year, I mean, come on, solve the problem.
Dick, if something crazy happens on Saturday, we may catch up with you Monday, and we sure want to catch up with you before the Preakness and the Kentucky Derby the rest of the year. And it's been fun to visit with you. It always is.
Anytime, guys. Happy to do it.
And you say college basketball, you cover it. Last thing, I promise. Yeah. I saw the other day Fran Dunphy, the former Temple coach, has been named the interim AD. What happened to the old AD? And I think Fran Dunphy will be terrific. I don't know if he's got any chance to be the main one in the long run, but there's never been a better rep for Temple than Fran Dunphy.
No question. The former AD just took the job at Boston College. So he's going to start there, I believe, July 1st. And that's when Fran will take over. And you're right, I've known Fran since the late 80s. And he was really kind of one of my mentors when I came up to Philly to start. I actually came to just cover horse racing and then morphed into covering college hoops as well. And he was the guy that kind of helped me out. And you're right, no better person. And look, they're talking about interim and bringing in somebody else. I got a feeling he's going to do so well. He might not be interim. He might be the guy. And he's always kind of talked to me about how he would like that at one point of his life. So yeah, it's great. It's great for Temple. Everybody likes him. He knows the territory. So yeah, I think it's a great hire.
I believe he still teaches like an ethics course, isn't it, at Temple?
He teaches in the Fox Business School. That's exactly right, and has for a number of years. The basketball coach / professor.
Love him. Thank you, Dick. It's been enlightening, and now I got a new horse here. Tap it. I'm all set.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And that is Dick Girardi.
A lot of fun.
That was outstanding for sure.
Always is. Here's my only thing about in that role for Fran Dunphy. Is he a ball of fire fundraising?
I don't know.
And you got to be now. And Temple football's right there.
Sure is. It's been really good for the last, 10 years? Remember it was a joke? I mean, they got kicked out of the Big East because they were so bad. And
Bruce Arians gave up on it 40 years ago.
He sure did. That'd
be my only thing. Would he be, a ball of fire? But Dick Girardi covering the Philly hoop scene. I told Hoops Weiss at the AAC championship game. I promise you, if I won the Powerball and could just live the superfan Jimmy Goldstein life 1 year from November through the end of the regular season, I would dedicate myself to propping down in Philly and just going to a different college basketball game a night.
It would be fun. I will tell you, I think Dunphy would be a good fundraiser. I think he helped to raise the funds for the Leah Corus Center. Everybody thinks that was Bill Cosby, but it really wasn't. It's named after a family called Leah Corus. And I think this guy,
John Chaney helped.
He's got a lot of business connections because he has taught in that business school, as Dick was just telling us. I got the feeling he could raise money. I really do. I'm a big
you can't
Fran
be scared to be
Dunphy guy.
told no.
No. Well,
it's like being in sales.
If you're a basketball coach, you've gotten used to being told no before by 18-year-olds. This portion of the show.
Yeah, because what does runner-up get you? In recruiting,
zip up.
There's no silver or bronze medal.
Right. That's right. This portion of the show brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and the chance for you to get into the 20th century when it comes to a new cooling system for your home and get money back. That's right. Carrier and Conway have teamed up. If you buy a new Infinity system from Carrier, you'll get $1,500. If your system needs 2 units, 3,000 smackaroos. How's that? And there's more. If you'd like, John's going to throw in a thermostat. He's going to throw in a warranty, and it's as low as $139 a month. All you got to do is make the call, 384-3511, Conway Services. Back in a minute. This is Sports Time on Sports 56.
R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1. Don't miss us.
Oh, my stomach. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea, Try new Pepto-Bismol Chews, the same fast relief of Pepto-Bismol, now in a delightful chew.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Central Barbecue is committed to the health and safety of this community, who has supported Central for almost 20 years. Central Barbecue is still open for business with to-go and delivery options to serve the greater Memphis area with the same great barbecue you have come to know and love. With 4 locations to serve you, from downtown, midtown, and East Memphis, you can order your favorite barbecue and enjoy everything on the menu in the comfort of your own home. Call your nearest Central Barbecue location for more information on delivery and to-go options today.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Lemon Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Lemon Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Hi, it's The Herd. And all week, we've been getting Lowe's dedications from listeners telling us their favorite DIY dad stories. Here's one of my favorites.
I was 11 years old. My dad assembled a trampoline overnight in the pouring rain with my grandpa, so I'd be surprised waking up on my birthday. So can't believe they did it. It's one of my favorite memories, getting to play with it with my dad.
Listen for more Lowe's dedications or check out the hashtag #DadBuiltThis. DIY dads turn houses into homes. And Lowe's believes home is what unites us.
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join Pete Cordelli and me for Sidelines, Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. on Sports 56, 87.7, and 96.1 FM. We'll cover the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, recruiting. Hey, if they keep score, we're covering it. Check us out on the website at sports56whbq.com and sidelines.live. Sidelines is brought to you by Duncan Williams Asset Management. Saturday mornings, 8 to 10 a.m. Get up and give us a call.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Cruising through our final hour of this program on this Thursday, and I mentioned a little earlier, Antonio Anderson was interviewed yesterday for the position Mike Miller had on the U of M team, and we know Penny's there, we know Cody Toppert is there, we know the guy that was the first one that Penny hired, Tony Madlock, is there. So you're trying to fill a position that has been really probably the biggest recruiter, and I would have to think Antonio Anderson would be a good recruiter. I don't really know. But I know he's only been a high school coach, and he's done that for 3 years, which is a fair amount of time to get experience. But what do you think really the qualification should be for the position that is about to be hired? Do you want somebody who's been around the game more, particularly the college game more, although Antonio was there as a player?
I would like to see the mix. I would like to see the very best of Mike Miller, and I think most of it was recruiting, but you talk about his ability to scout and game plan, and I don't know if Antonio Anderson really fits either side of that, but the final decision maker, it's what Penny Hardaway wants. It's like picking a running mate for running for president. It's one person making that decision, and it's got to please he or she, and the ultimate hire will come down to what Coach Hardaway is most comfortable with.
True.
I think Antonio Anderson would be a great fit for it because it kind of gives you the same pathway that Penny took. I mean, just doing the high school basketball, ultimately be a little bit of a more traditional path going into the assistant role, but having somebody who's been around high school kids day in and day out, it's a big recruitment tool. You know what is the latest trends. You know what these kids are into because you've been around it, and you know how to talk to them.
Well, Antonio,
social media savvy.
Antonio would fit the bill of the younger guy. No doubt about that. I guess he's younger than Mike Miller, isn't he?
Yes. By almost 10 years.
Is it really? 10 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mike was
in the NBA when
Antonio Anderson.
Antonio stepped on campus.
He was done in 08.
The only trepidation I have about Antonio, and I love him, I really do. Like I told you before.
That's how it ends.
He was one of my favorite players. No, for me, it's you've got a guy in Cody Topper as an NBA guy. You know, you do have Tony, who is all college. That's all he's ever known. And I'd like to have a guy that's had a little bit more college experience, especially since if we think about this, the original model that Penny wanted was to really be a one-and-done coach. Get the NBA guys in, play an NBA system.
Flood the zone.
Sell them that you are going to turn them into NBA players, and that's the real attraction to come in here. Look, we got an NBA workout place in the Walton Center. We fly in charters. We stay at the best hotels. You're getting
Live the big life.
NBA treatment if you come here. Well, now the model may be changing because the G League is going to be involved. They could still even go to a one and done. So those top 30 guys that you've been after may end up being more geographical, regional. Make sure all the Memphis guys stay home. Go after some of the great players, but know that the top 10 are probably not going to go play college basketball. You're going to have to change your model a little bit. Maybe you need somebody that's really more a college guy than you've had before. Just throwing that out.
Dave, it's even happening to a degree to John Calipari. There are some a long way from the start of the season and for sure a long way before March Madness 2021, but there are some that think Kentucky could lose double-digit games next year and really be down in the standings in the SEC. I sure won't get him in trouble with his fans. They love him. But next spring, that will still be stuck on one since he's been there. It's almost like an addiction at Kentucky, the high they get from two other nights that don't put one thing directly into the trophy case. Signing day and NBA draft day. There was a time we thought here in Memphis that those two dates, signing day and draft day, would be big every year under Penny Hardaway, and that's already changed.
It could, as you just said, it could be changing everywhere. That may be a new model if indeed the NBA continues, and I think they're going to. I think they're going to go.
I'd model after Mick Cronin if I were Coach Hardaway. If they could, I would go out to UCLA and spend 2 weeks with that staff and listen to him both with how he built it at Cincinnati and how he's off to the start at UCLA. Now they have a little bit of an advantage over Memphis still with that famous name, UCLA, but not as much as they used to have.
Well, I can understand.
He does it with grunts.
I can understand how you could be excited about Cronin and his prospects at UCLA, especially with the way he turned around last year. But if you look at Cronin and his success in NCAA tournaments, it's not very good.
It's lacking. It is when he gets to that ultimate moment, and it shows how tough it is to advance in that darn bracket. But he wins a lot of games every year, and he does it with a mix and a match of a lot of different personalities.
I do think this. I think that the G League elite team is here. So I think the NBA is going to use
and
that.
will only grow.
They're going to use that to not invoke the one and not take away the one and done. In other words, I think they'll keep the one and done in place, but
rate all the good players.
They will take the top 10 or 12 guys so that they'll pay them $500,000 a year to the really good ones, maybe $250,000 to the next 5 after the first 5, that's their investment, and then they'll find out whether or not they're going to give 2 years of guaranteed money at big dollars to them in the draft. So, and keep the one and done in there for all the other players that they will let the NCAA train and develop, and it'll end up saving them money in the long run. That's what I think they're going to do. So your model has to be, I think, if you're Penny, you're going to lose the top 10 or 12 guys every year, but that means 13 to 100
next
are still in play.
Yeah, and he will be in the mix going forward for Coach Hardaway at Memphis, and there's just no reason for – I mean, it's almost like the West Texas oil fields. They're never going dry. As long as the city of Memphis continues to produce players, he'll get plenty of good players.
Well, I think the fact that his shoe is still a very relevant shoe, number 5 all time, is something that tells you people still know who Penny is. And if they bring back Lil Penny like they're talking about, or he has talked about a bunch, then
it'd be to his advantage.
Be major advantage, and he'll still get
Major.
those 13 to 100, and he's got to keep the guys here who he's let go. And I don't want to I salute Kermit Davis, but if the Tigers had put as much attention on Matthew Morrell as they did Jalen Green or Greg Brown, they'd have him. Probably the same thing with Chris Moore in West Memphis.
Yeah, and I thought for sure Chris Moore was going to go Memphis, and he went Tigers, but it was Auburn Tigers. Now that's another thing, not really new, but will other people be able to come in and have success? Nolan Richardson was the first to really kind of crack that in Memphis and get prominent players out here, and then Kevin O'Neal got a couple, and a couple others went other places. But I think if he really wants them, he'll keep them.
I do too, and I think he's going to lean more in that direction. We'll know with the kid that was going to go to Briarcrest and who's not, was he going to IMG?
He is, and now, Dave, with the Ryan Silverfield recruiting news from college football, it's great. You don't care where you get your players as long as you get them, but it will really be the corner turning of historic proportions when he starts keeping Shelby County players instead of losing them to the SEC.
That I agree with. I was just thinking that to myself. He's getting great players out of New Orleans.
That's the next. That's the next Mount Everest for him.
Louisiana, Texas, in particular Houston, unbelievable jobs. That it started with Fuente, and it was picked up by Norvell.
A lot of ball players there too.
And Memphis historically has done a pretty decent job in the state of Florida now. Some of that has been slowed down by the likes of UCF, USF, Florida Atlantic, Florida International, all becoming entities that didn't exist when they were getting players like Keith Benton. But you're right. The one thing, and they've always gotten really good players out of schools like MUS and Christian Brothers,
and have developed them.
Or Whitehaven, for that matter. But when there's
look at Anthony Miller,
when there's been a unreal player, a 4-star guy that went to Whitehaven or Christian Brothers or MUS, where did they end up going? They ended up going to an SEC school. When
all those linebackers from Whitehaven last year.
When the Tigers secure, even though there's what's his name that worked for the school for a long time, is a great kid. He was a linebacker from Whitehaven, and then worked in fundraising. Oh my gosh, can't think of his name right now. Great looking man, really. He was on a fast track, I thought, to being an AD. Charles, somebody text me. Don't know.
I don't have it.
He worked for Tiger Sports, Tiger Scholarship Fund. Anyway, even with that kind of history, when it's a 4-star guy or a 5-star guy, they've gone to the SEC. If you get one of those, like they just did out of New Orleans, out of that kid from Marrera, Louisiana, today, when you get that in Memphis, you'll really be going crazy.
and everybody's still waiting for that next great quarterback out of Memphis. It's just been a long time.
Charles Harris, that's his name, and I thank Gabe Kuhn for texting me that really quick.
Thank you, Gabe.
I couldn't think of his name. That's terrible.
Man, Gabe's on top of it, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. He's always.
You got to get up early to top him, don't you?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Charles Harris, I forget where he went, but it was a good job. But if he had chosen, I think he could have been fast-tracked to an AD somewhere. That is for
Dave,
sure.
were you part of the groundbreaking yesterday at the facility? Did you have a shovel in hand?
I hate to say this.
Come on, why not?
Well, because I really believe they had to limit it. Yeah, here's the thing. When they first had the groundbreaking of that, seriously, when they had the groundbreaking of that facility, what was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I emceed it. Tom Bowen was putting a shovel in the ground. Brad Martin was putting a shovel in the ground. Dr. Rudd was putting a shovel in the ground. Mike Norvell was putting a shovel in the ground.
Took a pandemic to knock you out.
Of that group, and because of the pandemic, the only guy that was left from that group that I'm thinking about was Dr. Rudd. And he's done a heck of a job.
President.
You think about all of the cranes.
Drew, we got to buy that as an excuse that he got knocked out in 2 years of the groundbreaking. Are we really in the ribbon cutting?
Baby. Pandemic.
Nah, I'm not going to buy it.
What are you talking about? Look,
I think he was invited and he just didn't want to show up.
No.
Didn't want to put the work in?
Nah, cutting that ribbon, it's a lot of work.
That's not
It doesn't slide as easy as everybody
thinks.
thinks.
Had they asked me, believe me, I would have been there for that one.
I told Gabe today.
I'd love to see it.
I told Gabe today that he and a lot of players, I mean, those players are out there in 2012 and 13 and 14, you built it. You built that building with your sweat and blood and hard work and wins and turning this around.
I got a lot of fun Tommy West stories, but one of my favorites is where that building stands. Let's just envision this. Middle of that new building where the Leaping Tiger is now, there used to be a tractor there. Tommy West used to bring recruits onto that South Campus. He'd go, see that? You see that tractor right there?
Before you're through here?
We're about to start a new indoor facility right there. Of course, it never happened.
Tommy West should be welcomed back as hero someday around that program.
I think if anytime he wanted to come back and schmooze with any of those coaches or anybody, he would be welcomed back with open arms. He truly was one of the more popular coaches.
High hard one. I know technically the university doesn't have like a ring of honor or anything for Tiger football, but if they did, should they honor Tommy West in some form or fashion, name something after him?
I would.
Yes.
What would you name after him? Oh, my. And you can't name the field.
Something significant.
What I should do is I should name the carpet in the new place after him because of
don't say the ice machine.
The John Calipari. No, the John
that was
Calipari
such a point
story.
of contention.
No.
The hardwood
machine,
floors.
That was with with Josh Pastner. No, the carpeting that he asked R.C. Johnson for literally 3 years because it was he could not bring recruits into his office normal. Because it was just so stained and old and hadn't been changed since they built the building. And he kept asking them, and finally RC just said, no, it's just going to have to be next year. And then he heard this tapping upstairs, and he walked upstairs, and they were putting in hardwood floors for John Calipari. So I probably would name something. But since you asked me if you were going to name something, I mean, who's the first person you're going to name anything after Memphis football in a ring of honor? It's D'Angelo, right? Wouldn't that be number one?
Probably.
Number two might be Harry Shue. Would you go with that?
Danny Wimprine would be up there.
Yeah. I would have to put Bob Rush in there, another All-American.
Isaac Bruce
for certain.
Tim Harris.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Joe Allison. Lou Groza Award.
Father-son combo with the Rodgers.
Got to go. I mean, we're the kicker school. You got to go with Gotti, too, and Jake Elliott now. And, yeah, there's a bunch you could put Ring of Honors with. And we
Ernest Gray. Lucky Lloyd Patterson.
Yeah, sure.
Kippy Brown.
Kippy Brown. I wish Kippy had gotten a chance to be the coach.
I defended the Tigers for years. They have a history until now, and now they do. They just didn't have consistency. No. The Tigers always enjoyed a history.
Well, let's face it. This history right now is as good as it gets. Coming off a Cotton Bowl.
Is. And fun.
Having a brand new state-of-the-art
I looked it up, too, on Joe Burrow's numbers. Before the vote, he had 48 touchdown passes. He had 12 in 2 playoff games. But before the Heisman vote, it was 48.
Now, think about this. He had 12 in 2 playoff games? That's against the best. Wow. That right there is worthy of a Heisman Trophy. 12.
Vote again. He'd win it again. Yeah.
I'd vote him again. There's no doubt about that. This portion of the show brought to you by The Butcher Shop and their $100 family meal for 4. So this is what you get, whether you want to go in or curbside takeout. All you got to do is order on the phone, 757-4244. But you get, for $100, 4 famous Butcher Shop entrees. You pick between a New York strip, Atlantic salmon, or chicken breasts. You can upgrade for $4 to a ribeye. You can go $6 for a filet mignon. But you get those 4 entrees. You get garden salad, baked potatoes, and their famous French bread. And it is outstanding. And if you get it, you take it home, and you don't eat all of it because they give you so much. It works to freeze it. And then when you take it out, I mean, it's fantastic. And you're going to get 4 handmade, homemade desserts with ice cream, either cheesecake or brownie. How about that? It's just so easy. If you want to take it home, fine. If you want to come inside, they're good with that now, too. At the Agri Center, and I don't want to forget, tomorrow, it's Hamburger Friday, the best burger you ever put in your mouth from 11 until 2. The Butcher Shop, they got it going on. We take a timeout. When we come back, it'll be time for Crunch Time.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
You can get podcasts of all our daily shows and all of our biggest interviews delivered right to your inbox just by signing up at sports56whpq.com. It's the best way to stay informed on what's going on in sports, and it's brought to you by Surfacapes Concrete Floors. Garage, restaurants, office, retail, and industrial floors, Surfacapes does them all, as well as pool decks. Call 901-888-5000 or go to surfacapes.com. Get full shows and the best interviews from Sports 56 delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up at sports56whpq.com.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, we hit fame. Too easy with the deal, we get insane.
Final portion of the show. It's brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. I want you to go check out those Genesis cars. SUVs coming. I can't wait for that. But check out the G70, the G80, the G90. See where they have taken this luxury to a new level with safety and with performance and with durability. And I want you to realize any Hyundai that you get from Homer Skelton or any Genesis from Genesis of Olive Branch, you are getting a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new car. And I love to say, I think Chris True and all his gang that have been together for years and years and years at this dealership, well, they've set the bar. They always come up with ways to make it more feasible for you to get brand new technology like their unreal Hyundais and Genesis cars. 0% financing right now for 84 months. You never pay the note of interest on your car. I'm telling you, that's the beginning. And then on some select models, 120 days to make the first payment. You don't have to make the first payment for 4 months. If you're just getting back to work from being unemployed because of the pandemic, this may go a long way for you. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch, doing things the right way. It's time for Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
We'll take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo! Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave learned today that when people don't believe, I'd never heard of the OAN network until Monday of this week, and with a picture from a fishing trip, I swear I thought it was Outdoor Activities Network. But I got topped today. A friend of mine asked me what I thought of the top 50 people according to Fox Business Network right now in sports. And he asked me, he said, what do you think of a guy named Big Cat and PFT Commenter? Have y'all ever heard of him?
Never.
Yeah, I know what it is. It's from Barstool.
There
They
you go.
play.
I've never heard
they
of it.
play.
Must be a younger
NCAA
guy.
football online from the 2014.
So he's a video game guy?
Yeah, but they've been doing it to kind of fill
Wouldn't no
spots.
Big
and it's been
Cat
huge
commenter
on,
if they
huge
walked
on
in the
social
room.
media and everything.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't know.
I'm pretty sure Lane Kiffin's even tweeted about it. Like a lot of coaches have tweeted about it.
Wow. Huh. I learned today TSSAA,
Big Cat,
the Tennessee High School Athletic Association, they got $385,000 in PPP money from the government. However, they lost $1.1 million, so they probably need it. And we learned late today, not that long ago, that U of M got another great recruit, the 4-star inside linebacker Andrew Jones from right outside of New Orleans, Louisiana. Another Louisiana player. This will be the highest-ranked guy in the class, and Memphis is now number 34 overall in the country.
could have done without 2 days in a row. He speaks. First doctor I've ever seen give his own second opinions. Dr. Fauci leveled off baseball yesterday, hammered football today. He's argued every side of the issue during the virus. This was sadly predictable. A month ago, he said football would be fine.
He did say now.
Who does he level off tomorrow?
He said it would need to be in a bubble. I could have done it without the fact that Texas football had 13 positive cases only 2 of those cases came from last week, so they've got more. They're self-isolating, and there are 10 more in quarantine. Kansas State had 8 more. We've still got a long
Ohio State won't give out numbers.
No, we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
That is the bottom
Keep an eye
line.
on the baseball negotiations tonight. See if Dave can take his victory lap tomorrow. Very sad news about Memphis in May or even in the rescheduled October on the heels of the Southern Heritage Classic. Something will be next. It will be sad, whatever that might be.
No doubt. We want to thank Randy Blevins and Elliot Perry and Tim Doolin and Dick Girardi on Bet Online tomorrow. Paul Rogers on the Belmont, Bruce Marshall. We got the whole cast of characters. It'll be a lot of fun. Same time, same place. Have a great night, everybody.
Do you get into bed and find your mind still going? If so, try Zeke.
Kyrie Irving business a little bit?
I've seen some of it. I hadn't been following Kendrick Perkins a whole lot.
He's of the opinion that Kyrie is a bleep disturber, and does not seem to have a very high opinion of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks that he's been a distraction, even though he was trying not to be a distraction. Kendrick Perkins tweets out last night, 2 people have been lynched in the state of Texas. A young African-American lady was killed in Akron, Ohio behind a hate crime. And has that been highlighted like it should have been? No, because for the last 2 days we've been talking about Kyrie Irving.
Oh, okay. What?
There have been a disturbing series of lynchings or apparent lynchings, I guess. I don't know the best way to phrase it, but it certainly appears that way around the country. And there was news left in Oakland in a park in Oakland last night.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bad scene happening. I think it's being discussed, though. I would disagree with Kendrick. I don't think Kyrie is distracting from a national discussion. I do think it has made the news. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I do think that it has been.
I found out about it from the news.
Yeah, I feel like we got the info. I don't think that anybody was discussing Kyrie Irving's attempt to derail the potential restart of the NBA, and when we were missed out on some of this information. I don't think that's happening. To be fair to Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins wants there to be basketball like all of us wants there to be basketball. And Kyrie's point is when basketball comes back, let's not just distract people from what is going on in the world, which is a fair point coming from Kyrie. And that's hard to say. But if Kendrick Perkins' reaction to Kyrie Irving saying that, in the dialogue around Kyrie Irving saying that is, hey, he's distracting us from these heinous hate crimes and lynchings that are going on right now, and there is no basketball being played. What does he think is going to happen when basketball gets played? If Kyrie Irving can distract us in a moment when nothing else is going on, what does he think other players, more well-respected players, are going to be able to do when basketball comes back to the American psyche and American attention span? Like, what does he think is going to happen when that happens? He just doesn't like Kyrie. I don't know. They played together in Cleveland, right?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you he's had a lot of conversations or heard Kyrie have a lot of conversations about opening the third eye and just like, nah, this dude is a space cadet. I'm out. Like so many of us, and rightfully so, because Kyrie is a bit of a space cadet, but he is right on the topic. He and Avery Bradley and others are right on the topic of not wanting to detract away from what protesters are working so hard to achieve and accomplish right now. There's no more need for attention. Everybody is or awareness, excuse me. Everybody is aware. So now there needs to be tangible action and tangible things taking place. I don't get it. This Kendrick Perkins thing with Kyrie, from what I've seen, feels a little bit more personal than simply I'm offering my opinion from Kendrick Perkins.
Well, Kendrick Perkins, to me, is a little bit of a he's got a little Skip Bayless kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of he's not afraid to just say whatever to kind of get it going a little bit and just kind of stir it up, which I think is sort of ironic because he's sort of that's what he's accusing Kyrie of doing, and he himself is being probably as big of a distraction in the whole thing, while by accusing Kyrie of being a distraction, when Kyrie is trying to avoid distraction and has not said anything, to my knowledge, has not said anything publicly. His comments have been reported upon and seem to be pretty widely known, but he has not come out and done anything that would be distracting. It's not as if he's made some kind of weird video or made some sort of a statement or done some kind of a public announcement that would have caused a bunch of stir. He's just kind of been talking. Kendrick Perkins also, for the record, tweeted out, said, Mother Nature's better be cool and chill, because I honestly took it light on Kyrie today when I really could have exposed the bleep that he's doing on them phone conversations. Carry on. So, Kendrick's not a fan, what I'm saying.
Okay.
As ever, I think the discussion is fine, and I don't think anyone is missing out on what's happening around the country because of the discussion around Kyrie. Now, I do think once basketball starts, that's a different thing. I think that you have only to look at what happened yesterday with the Premier League. The Premier League returned. There'll be more Premier League action later on today. And then every day, for a while now through Sunday, there'll be some games and stuff. And they all the players wore Black Lives Matter instead of their names on the back of their jerseys. They just had the phrase Black Lives Matter. They had a Black Lives Matter patch on their uniform. They kneeled prior to the very first game. They kneeled down, and that was all great, and it highlighted their feeling on the issue. But then once the games were played, and that was what the story was. The story was what happened in the games, and I think there are ways that players can continue to raise awareness and stuff. But like once the games start, the games are going to make the big news. If you look on all the various soccer sites, for example, the story is Manchester City beating Arsenal, 3-0. It's not about what did this player X did he kneel down or player. It's not about that, and it's been about that for a while. So that's the thing. Unless there's something elaborate that happens, unless players have and I know there's been some talk, and I've heard tell that there may be some extremely elaborate possibilities of some of the things that players may do. Unless it's something like that, I think it's going to quickly kind of get pushed down with the actual sports. We have a very well-oiled sports highlight and discussion machine. That once sports kick in, once that fuel of the games and the stuff and the feuds between players and stuff starts to feed that machine, well, then you start to get the discussion. You start to get the Skip Baylesses and the Stephen A's start to talk, and then that feeds another thing, and then you have the highlights and all that stuff, and next thing you know, you're right back to where you were. I think that's what he's warning about. So you don't want to go back to what quote-unquote normal was, because we're in a unique moment.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They're going to play. So let's see what they do and how they use the platform that they have.
Well, I can tell you this. No matter how you feel about Kyrie or anyone else, one thing we all know is that the NBA protocol tells you that you cannot share snorkels between players. And so just remember that. Let me go through.
Great.
One of my favorite little details in the NBA's 113-page protocols. No sharing of snorkels, guys. One snorkel, one player. Remember that. That's the rule. Deal with it. We'll come back.
Great party area, safe. All the employees in masks, gloves, very safe. Trying to social distance inside and be extra careful. That's what Walker Taylor demands, and that's what he's gotten during all of this. And this has been the definition of all of this. And when we start thinking about football, even high schools on Friday night and tailgating, keep the commissary in mind. Again, online at commissarybarbecue.com.
We take a timeout. When we come back, Some college football traditions may be coming to an end. We will talk about that next.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Hey, clones, you've heard me talk about Walmart delivery before, but now Walmart has the fastest delivery service yet. Walmart Express Delivery. Get groceries and more delivered from their door to yours with no contact delivery in 2 hours or less. Zero markups. Same low price as in-store. Don't let work, kids, an at-home workout, or whatever else life throws at you right now get in the way of getting what you need when you need it. Try Walmart Express Delivery today. Restrictions and fees do apply.
Hi, it's The Herd. And all week, we've been getting Lowe's dedications from listeners telling us their favorite DIY dad stories. Here's one of my favorites.
Homeschooling has made our house a chaotic mess. Our space is tight. My husband built a bookshelf to hold all of the kids' projects and books, though. He even got the kids involved. He's a super dad.
Listen for more Lowe's dedications or check out the hashtag #DadBuiltThis. DIY dads turn houses into homes. And Lowe's believes home is what unites us.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
We saved serious cash with our Progressive Home and Auto Bundle and used the money to buy a new boat.
Who's ready to water ski?
This is not a real testimonial. Sure, customers can save big money with Progressive, but not enough for a new boat. They'll probably spend it on rent or gas money or maybe one of those little plastic wading pools for the yard.
Ahoy there!
Is what the captain might say. On the toy boat. In your wading pool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Joining us now as we do every Thursday at this time, our good friend, talk a little wrestling with the one and only 5-star Dustin Starr. Joining us on the program. Good morning, Dustin. How are you, bud?
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, CJ. My favorite tag team in Memphis. How are you guys doing this morning?
What up, Star?
Man, I can't wait. We should be a tag team, CJ.
You guys are a tag team.
Well, I mean, we should be a real like in the ring tag team. Like we should actually get in there.
Well, hold on. You pump the brakes a little bit there.
Why don't gas Peter's head up, Star? Like, you can be a tag team, Peter. I'm not getting involved in that. That stuff hurts. No. I'm okay.
Radio tag team. Radio tag.
I mean, I'm just saying, Star. I feel like, we got to get in there. Obviously, we got to get hit the ropes a few times, get some training in. But I feel like CJ got some good size. I got some good size here. We got, we got the charisma on the stick. I think we can make this thing work. We just a few months, so we could start to terrorize other shows out there.
Hey, man. You know what they say, you can't teach size. I think you guys got the promo skills. You do it every day.
That's what I'm saying, see? I think in the ring, you put us in the ring with any other show in this market, I think we got them.
What would be the tag team name? You got to have a tag team name.
to think.
It can't just be Sports 56 mornings.
No.
Can it be Sports 55?
What?
Can we get Zach involved?
Well, no, we're the Dairy Boys.
Oh, we are the Dairy Boys.
The Dairy Boys.
We're the Dairy Boys.
God.
The Dairy Boys. I'm whole milk. He's chocolate milk.
Yeah, you guys would have a great feud with the Texas Barbecue Boys.
That's right, the Texas Barbecue Boys. We're the Dairy Boys.
Hey, we
got to
just
have a good
come out-
finishing move.
We just hit them upside the head with a gallon of milk.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
That would work.
It's going to be a visual I don't appreciate.
When matches and just pour gallons of milk
That's
on people.
right. That's right.
Just, take
milk
this.
is a
Dairy
milk's
Boys
a
in the
bad
business.
choice. Oh boy.
Here's this cottage cheese in your face. Bow. Cottage
Gross.
cheese.
Ooh, no way.
I'm about to get sick.
I'm sure that would age well.
I'm just saying, Mankind was pulling socks out. Like,
Yeah, he was.
That was sick. That was
pulling
gross.
him out of his tights.
just straight out the tights, man.
Yeah, hey, that's a really good point that maybe a lot of wrestling fans might not have really kind of thought about. Like, literally, Mankind would have that sock in his tights, wrestling a long match, sweating, and then pull it out, put it on his hand, and stick it in your mouth. Gross. Yeah.
Is that the grossest move you can think of, Star? There are some good
Man,
ones.
Stink face.
Stink
Well,
faces.
the stink face, you can kind of turn your head. You can hide into the buckle a little bit. It is a disgusting move, don't get me wrong, but when you got another man's, like, sock or hand after all the wrestling and touching of the mat and the ring, especially nowadays if you think about it, and then he sticks his fingers in your mouth, that's pretty gross. I don't know if anything tops that. I remember when he first came up with the mandible claw, it was probably like 96 or something. There was rumors that guys would complain about having to take that move just because it was disgusting, sticking your fingers in the guy's throat. But it's supposedly a pressure point underneath the tongue that'll put you down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to I'm going to say I'm curious your thought on this since we're talking about this. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but I'll let everyone else in on it. Joey Ryan is a wrestler who has a particularly impressive move in which he uses his let's say his junk to flip other wrestlers. He uses that as Mick Foley, in fact, had took this at one point in time.
Yeah,
somebody ends up grabbing his crotch, and then he sort of powers it up, and then the wrestler flips over with the power of his genitalia. Yes. How do you feel about the Joey Ryan special?
Well, I mean, obviously it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, but I mean, I get it. It's part of the showmanship, but a lot of the classic, diehard wrestling fans absolutely hate it. But you're talking about it right here, and Joey Ryan is not really like a WWE guy, or he's had some really good national exposure, but he's kind of an underground, very, very popular, like with the underground wrestling, kind of like a band that hasn't signed a big record deal yet. Maybe like a Nickelback before Nickelback went big. Before you start to hate them, you know what I mean? He's still very, very popular today, and he does that. And a lot of the old school wrestlers hate it, but it's just one of those things that they do. I mean,
that's why I'm asking you. I'm asking you, what do you think?
Oh, like, would I want to take that move? Is that what you're asking me?
Well, I'm saying, how would you feel about taking that move?
That move wouldn't happen on our television program. Let's put it that way. I don't know. I would probably do it. I would probably do it because it would be funny and it would, be a highlight or something.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. Yeah, right.
It is very silly, but, come on. That's what some of this wrestling stuff is. You got the people's elbow. You had the worm.
Yeah, right.
A lot of silly. Hulk Hogan won for years with a leg drop.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. And he would the heel would always feed in, would always punch him 3 times, would always do the same thing.
Yeah, why not?
Everyone kind of knew knew the deal. That's right.
Let's call it the penis flip. Why not do the penis flip, right? It's ridiculous.
Texans have texted in on the First Bank text line. You can too, 67129 on the First Bank text line. Texter says the Dairy Boys are utterly amazing. Move out the way.